We had an amazing start to the Monday. It's not every Monday you get to wake up to like a 30-point per share swing. We actually swung the stock CVAC from my swing account. Swung it from around $52 average, and this morning it gapped up all the way to 93. By the time I woke up, it was around down here, and I sold my shares at an average about $81. So even though I didn't get the top tick and sell it, I still locked in a very nice $30 a share swing trade average. And so that was an amazing start to the week. So with this day trading account, I actually started shorting very early on. Just because, it's the same idea, right? If you were long this IPO stock, by the way, this IPO'd at IPO'd around $40. If you are already long the stock and investing in it, and you got like an over 100% return within one weekend, you'd probably want to get out, right? So it's a pretty simple idea, but not a lot of people think about this. And also, all day the volume was extremely thin. You can see down here at the volume bar. Really, really thin name. And, if there's no volume coming in to buy the stock, it's gonna keep on dropping because people who already hold long the stock are gonna want to get out. And that's why I was short. But the locates were very expensive. They were like 41 cents per share. But the stock gives such a big move. Even if you have small share sizes, let's just say 100 shares, 200 shares, you can still make some pretty nice profit. Started scaling in shorts here, 82, 83s, and covered most of it. At the open, we did get the pop here to 85. That's why I went short again. This area, I will admit, I was a little bit nervous because it kept on trying to hold this pre-market dip around 76s. So, I did get chopped out and, you can see I panic covered a little bit here and I covered on the flush here, but I did re-hit here, which I'm really glad that I did, go back in to re-short once my thesis is proven correct. And from here, we got like a very nice flush all the way to 71. And that was my best cover. I did miss the flush all the way to 67. But maybe we'll get that tomorrow, maybe not. So I was all out of my short here. Here I did go back in for some small scalps on the short side. Over here as well. You can see over here, prior support becomes resistance. Very simple technical analysis. And at the end of the day, I was thinking we're gonna fade into close, and we didn't get that. So, I don't want to hold this stock short overnight, so you can see I covered for a small loss on the short side as well by the close. But overall, the swing trade was an amazing start to the Monday. It was a very nice call in our trading chat room. So MBOT is the second stock I focused on. I actually took a long and in a short early on, and I lost on both sides pre-market. Right, pre-market it's a little bit harder to trade and harder to read just because you don't need that much more volume to move the stock up or down, right? It's a low float stock as well. Former runner, you can see on the daily chart, we had ran up all the way from 6 to 19s. And then later on, 11 to 15. So it is a former runner that has history of spiking, but also at the same time failing, right? And that's why, big picture is bearish on the stock, but I did take a loser to start, right? So I was all out. It's only here that I started going in short again around 1250s. And why? And if you look at the daily charts, 1250s, $13, lots of resistance. So that's, a pretty simple technical analysis right here. Started shorting here, and at the open, I shorted the push towards $12, added to my full size on the short side, covered some just to pay myself, and I was out here. Oh wait, and I did go back and forward re-short here. But really similar idea to how I usually trade these small cap, gap and craps. And no, I was not involved anymore afterwards. Pretty simple and straightforward trade on this. The third trade is RXT. This one I didn't do that well on. I made money early on and I went back in and flipped sides, and then I kind of lost a little bit on both sides. The initial was the short because we were halted for news pending, and after the stock on holds, the volume was kind of, you can see we got some volume, but if you don't have volume to keep on pushing it to the upside, it's gonna fail, right? So I shorted this and then I covered most of it here. And this is where I was thinking, okay, we're failing. We're going to test the downside. I literally shorted the bottom, as you can see. And that's why I got squeezed and I covered the short. And basically, I got out of the short for a loss here. But this is where I actually went in and longed. You can see I had a decent long entry with the volume coming in. I was thinking, you know what? Everyone who shorted this, like I did earlier, are they gonna want to go buy to cover? And that's what you got, this kind of volume, right? And you can see I sold into this, and then I was trying to add back to my size on the sales, and then I got dumped on basically. So ended up being a small loss on both the long side and the short side. It is what it is. You can't win everything. So it was an extremely choppy day. At least for me, for both the small caps and the large caps. I did had some early gains, and then kind of just got like chopped around, gave back over half of the profit. So small green after locates probably just like break even with something. OSTK, so this one I had a long swing. I took a loss on the swing account. You know, we gapped. I was hoping for like continuation to the upside about 120s, and then we just didn't get there. And then I sold the swing for about $1 a share and a little bit more loss. But on day trade, it was a decent on the short side and then the long side. If you look at the chart, we sold off and I got some small shorts. You can see I started shorting a little bit early, but then you can see we quickly sold off, and then you can see I got chopped up. You can see from the execution here, it's like really choppy. I did get chopped up, and like I was adding on the pops and then like looking for the flush. I did cover into the move, but once it made like this really clear double bottom, I got out. So small profit on the short side, and then I actually flipped long after it keeps on reclaiming its level. Why? 112.70. Well, if you line it up, it's also the high from about a week ago on the daily chart. Prior resistance becomes support, right? You can see it keeps on trying to hold that, and then once I see that, I got out of the short, did give back some, like I said, and I actually went long. I longed it here, started here, and then re-added on the dips to the same area, and then sold into the push, and I had one more add here for like a tiny scalp, green to red move, 118, and sold into the 119s push. And at the time, SPY was kind of chopping around, so I didn't want to outstay on the long side. And I actually tried to re-hit this on the short side as well. And then you can see I didn't stay that long. So overall, just small wins on this, both on the long side and short side. Not that clean. The other trade that was also not easy was MICT. So this one, you can see it gapped up pre-market. I had some starter short and I added some more. I was also out on the short. Decent profit to start the day. And I totally went back and just gave back everything again. So just like exactly like my OSTK trade. So ended up being another small winner. But after it locates, probably not, to be honest. So you can see I tried to re-hit it short. After the bounce to VWAP didn't work, I recovered. So I covered for a small loss, and I re-added up here. What I'm really happy about is I did stop out, but once we see that really quickly rejected, I put it back on again. So I'm really happy about this. So I had about the re-entry, I had about $8, well, 7.90s average, and I covered into the flush. So that was a very nice, almost $1 a share move. And then I tried to re-hit it again and re-added here, and made some back on the pretty small gain on the short side. And then literally after I covered, the whole stock just tumbled. So there was no way for me to add on these kind of weaknesses. So I just kind of left it. So overall, small gains to end the day. Hopefully we get some cleaner moves tomorrow on both the large caps and the small caps. So today was a pretty straightforward day. There was not a lot of plays in small caps, but thankfully I still play large caps, but starts with a loser first. TGT. So I actually shorted it first because we did have a huge gap up from 137 all the way to 150, and it did seem like it started to downtrend. Pre-market selling off from the highs. So I thought, if we do sell off the pre-market lows, we can retest maybe 145, and that's why I went in starter short. And when you're wrong, when this level really quickly reclaimed, this level, the pre-market lows really quickly reclaimed, I stopped out. And the good thing I did, because the stock later ripped another $8 $8. So you gotta follow your stop. But of course, in hindsight, I'm kind of like hitting myself in the head, like, why didn't I flip long? Because I think I was watching the pre-market highs for a while. I just kind of started watching a couple of the stocks and I missed it. Because if you look at over here, it's a very clear pre-market high consolidation, right? On these large caps, these kind of consolidation at these levels work really well because they follow the technical analysis, all the support and resistance levels pretty cleanly. So, that's where this would have been the entry to go long. And I didn't. I missed it. But the important thing is that I stopped out of the short. Let's talk about another pretty big winner, which I'm really surprised about because it faded a lot more than I have anticipated. BMRN. So this one had some bad news. It's a pharmaceutical company. Bad news about one of the drugs. And you can see the stock gap down from 118 all the way to pre-market 92. And it kept on fading, right? So it's the same thing I was looking for on TGT, except TGT had really good news. This one had terrible news, so it makes sense that this one didn't even reclaim and go higher, right? And, from the watch list that we have in the trading chat room, this stock, I never said to go long. I was bearish on the stock and looking for a bleed down all day. But man, I missed so much to the downside. Same thing as TGT. I had a very nice size though. From 84, added some more on 82 and re-added on this pop to 83. So that overall gave me an average about 83.40s. So very nice. Cover some partial and I even tried to add back. But you can see even after the add, I didn't stay that long. And I really should have because you can see this clear retest of VWAP and failed and just kept on dripping down all day, breaking down 80s and all the way to 77 and low of the day was 75. So I definitely underestimated the selling off power and left a lot on the table. So, whether you make money, you lose money day trading, you're never happy because, man, I could have made so much more. Or even re-add back. You can see the stock was literally weak all day, right? The only time it tested VWAP was here in the morning around 10:15 and it just faded. Next time, I'll remember to let it ride out longer. So the other stock, the small cap play I did trade was pre-market MNPR. It was some news release pre-market. And you can see the stock spiked from 590 to 8. And it immediately just sold off. Why? If you look at a daily chart, right? It's a recent backholder chart. So if you look on this day, which was only a week ago, the stock was literally pumped to 14 and just sold off straight to $7 on the same day. So, when the stock, it was down about, it was down around $5, $6 for a long time. When it finally popped to 8, if I was holding the long on the stock, I probably want to get out. So that's why I was, short biased on the stock. But honestly, I thought this was going to squeeze a little bit higher, at least at the open. But it just never did. You can see it was so weak. It had a tiny pop to 660s, but not even enough to test 7. So I didn't have much size on this. It was just pre-market size, but a very nice small winner on this. The other stock, OSTK. Oh my God. I made money on this, but I messed up because, I had some starter size, right? Starter size, not the best entries, but I was looking for a test to highs. And I sold some. I sold most of it here. I did have a re-add over here back to starter size. So this is why I trimmed back to starter size. And then this is really stupid because I started watching some other stocks and I kind of forgot about it. Even forgot about the starter size. You can see, this looks really stupid because I gave back a lot even though it was just our starter size remaining. I gave back a lot. So you can see I didn't get stopped out until here. Should I set the stop around 124.80s? Then even with the remaining size, I would have lost only $1 a share, which is totally manageable on a small size. But I totally forgot about this. So I'm not really happy about this trade, to be honest. So gave back about a lot of the profit from even just small size. The final trade was the icing on the cake was KODK. Yesterday I missed this. So yesterday I think there was some news and the stock literally halted up. You can see, we did the same thing it did on this day. So it squeezed from 7 to 9, 10, 13. I missed all of this yesterday and I was really mad because this happened during lunchtime. I usually take a break around lunchtime. So I was really mad about this. By the time I came back, it was already down here and the risk reward just doesn't make sense. But today, I had this on watch on the side, and I'm very happy that I caught a small piece of it, even though it wasn't that big. You can see like the spike barely even made it to 50% of yesterday's move, right? So I had a small short, just a scalp, just to make sure I get a little piece of it. Not a lot, to be honest. Oh, yeah, you can say I still covered way too early. Yeah, averaged about 870s and covered into 850s and left another 50-60 cents to the downside. We'll see. Hopefully this comes back the next few days. I'll be very happy if it does. Okay, so the first trade on the day is CVAC. They had some news about their vaccine, and there's a lot of shipments, orders for the vaccine, etc. The same stuff you've heard over and again. And this is a recent IPO chart. We actually swung this long from like 50 all the way to $90 on this day. But today is the first day it gapped up since the IPO, right? You can see it sold off from 80 something dollars to 57. So this is a gap, a pretty significant gap, right? Over almost $10 a share overnight. And I did think it has some, downside to fill first before heading up higher. And I started in small pre-market first, small size pre-market. But if it starts, you can see we touch and reject back down, but we retested 67 again. If it starts holding this 65, 66s and heading higher, I'm gonna have to cut for a small loss on starter size. But the fact that it rejected so quickly off the 65s, and at the open we popped to 65 and slammed back down, that tells me this level is gonna reject. And that's why I scaled in short. Had a very nice average, added some 64, 65, 50s, covered some and re-added over here 63, 50s, added some more, and for a very nice flush to 61. I did miss this, tick all the way to 60, 70s. I did think we can, test 60, 50, and 60s. We didn't get that, and when this trend starts to reverse, I just have to cover and don't outstay. But this is a very nice and very clean trade for me right off the open. The second trade I took is also on the short side, OPGN. So this is a former runner, but you can see if you look at the daily chart, on this day, it gapped up to, I guess, 335 and spiked all the way to 4s. And that was only, I guess, 2 weeks ago. 2-3 weeks ago. So today when we're gapping up to $3 and later on almost to 370s, very closely to these daily resistance, that's why I was leaning more short bias. But you can see I did take a loser pre-market first. Right? Pre-market, again, starter size. So that's why I'm really comfortable and very quick to exit and take the small loss. Small short here, 315s. I covered here for about 10 cents loss. On starter size, that's totally fine. But this is where I started to scale in again. This level, I did, re-short it a little bit. We did get a hike up into the open, right? Into the open to this 370s, 380s daily resistance. And this is where I'm more interested in putting in more size. At these daily resistance, right? You can see very, very clearly daily 380s, 370, 380s, this area, right? If I was, long, I would want to sell in this area. And that's why this is the area of interest. And right at the open, we rejected the highs really quickly. We didn't even pop to retest 370s. And that's why, I started scaling in short to a very nice size, shorted here, 350s. Covered some, and I did reshort here, reshort some more, and got some very nice average down to about 320s after all the rescales. Covered some and re-added. You can see in hindsight, I should have added more here, but we did get that very nice flush down to 270s and pretty much covered all of it here around 260s, 250s, and I just left it alone for the rest of the day. So those were two pretty decent plays. Other couple ones that added up really nicely. The first one is GEVO. So GEVO, I was up a lot on this parabolic short to retest twos. I did cover some, but not enough. Like, this stock just slowly grinded back up. So the rest of the re-ads here were small losses. So I did give back some short side re-entries. In hindsight, I should have just taken off the majority here and covered in 140s. That would have been a very nice, like 50 cents a share profit. But I didn't. Because with this kind of volume traded, if you see, almost 1 billion trading volume, right? At one point, I think, 980 million volume traded. I did think that once it started to fail, it could have, gapped all the way down to, 110, 120. So I did outsay. That's unfortunate. I gave back a good chunk, but that's okay. I still managed my risk really well. You can see it's the same thing, right? If I'm front side, picking tops, I'm really quick to cover. I'm always okay to take either small profit or small loss like I did on here. It's only once we confirm that we are rejecting 210s, $2, right? This key $2 area, that's where I started scaling in way more and covered into 156 and gave back a lot. Should I really covered on this VWAP touch here? You can see we broke below VWAP and really quickly just reclaimed. So, taking profit, it's something that I should have done here, but it's okay. So overall, very decent day. I'm very excited to see how GEVO gaps up tomorrow. And that'll give us some very nice plays. Hopefully it goes to, $2.40, $3, and that'll be amazing. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and the bad jokes. If you want to see more day trading content, make sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more. If you'd like to trade with me daily and get my free weekend watch list and trading journal, make sure to check out the links below for more resources. Stay green, stay positive, and I'll see you guys next time.